I know that you're curious, I know that you're strong, but life can be furious and things can go wrong. You go, we're better off tomorrow, but who knows if we get joy or sorrow. Stay true to that fire in your heart and your soul. Don't drench your desire in what you can't control. We fly, try so hard to get there, and we might be lost but not forever. There's things in life you simply need to know, but sun and rain and trust in letting go. It takes a bit of suffering, sleepless nights and wandering, before you make it safely to the end, the end, the end. Don't say you're ridiculous, you're not even close. Don't wish for indifference, you're not one of those. We fall, but we always rise up through it all. We get a little wiser. There's things in life you simply need to know, but sun and rain and trust in letting go. It takes a bit of suffering, sleepless nights and wandering, before you make it safely to the end, the end, the end. And if you ever wonder, there is nothing wrong with a little thunder. There's things in life you simply need to know, about sun and rain and trust in letting go. It takes a bit of suffering, sleepless nights and wandering, before you make it safely to the end, the end. There's things in life you simply need to know, but sun and rain and trust in letting go. It takes a bit of suffering, sleepless nights and wandering, before you make it safely to the end. Before you make it safely to the end, the end, the end.
I lost it all the other day, been floating with my head down. If I'm meant to stay, took pride in a fleeting dream. If our kindness ever crossed here, they were twined into little knots. It is possible, I know it's not too
Hillary and Roy Richardson and Sue Coleman. They've made a huge impact in the lives of the students of Troy for decades. They have served as teachers, coaches, mentors to so many of us, including the teachers. We love them all, and we want them to know that they will be missed. And my final thank you today is for the Troy community. It takes a village to raise a child, and the Troy community really rallies around the students and supports the schools. I want you to know that we feel all the support that you've given us over the years, from athletic events to concerts, open houses, and fundraising activities. The list goes on, and we can't thank you enough. So today, kids, for those of you who I had as Shirtles Turtles in first grade, and those of you who I had after that, I want to teach you one last lesson. I told you there was a special reason for the marigolds, and I'm going to explain that to you now. I want to tell you all about the marigold effect. Many experienced gardeners know about a concept called companion planting. When you put certain vegetables and plants near each other, it improves growth for both the plants, that plant, and the others around them. For example, rose gardeners plant garlic near their roses because it repels bugs and prevents disease. Among one of the companion plants is the marigold. It is one of the best because it protects a variety of plants from pests and weeds. If you plant a marigold in a garden, the vegetables or flowers will grow big, strong, and healthy. Marigolds exist in our lives as well, encouraging, supporting, and nurturing us. If you can find at least one marigold in your life and stay close to them, you will grow. Find more than one, and you will thrive. Few of you will be lucky enough to be planted close to a marigold. Being assigned the perfect mentor in life or in college or in a career is very rare, so you will have to seek them out. You can identify them by the way that they will congratulate you on your successes, help you on the way, or by how you feel when you're with them. If you feel good around this person, chances are they may have some marigold qualities. Your search for the marigold will not have perfect results. Not everyone has all marigold qualities. There will be some people that will just make you happy. Go to them for a mood boost. Others will take care of you and encourage you to rest, sometimes even slack off a little, and not beat yourself up. And some who are intensely into helping you perfect yourself will help you stretch your abilities. Learn who has marigold qualities in your life and what you can get from each of them. As you leave today, please grab your marigold from the stage. When you take it home, I want you to reflect and even thank some of the marigolds that you have in your life. Thank those who have helped you get here today and those who will help you bloom in your future. As you go through life, whenever you see a marigold, please be reminded of today and all the wonderful memories you have at Troy High School. Congratulations. At this time, I am excited to present to you the class of 2020 high school valedictorian, Miss Ella Pierce. Ella is graduating high school with a 4.1 grade point average and has taken rigorous classes such as college writing, intro to communication, pre-calculus, and chemistry. She's been very involved in school activities and has been a leader for all those around her. She's been a student council representative, a member of NHS, and a drama club member. She's played volleyball, basketball, and is a great track athlete. Through her church, Ella has volunteered at Vacation Bible School and done several other outreach activities. Ella was able to go to Costa Rica with the travel club, and I know she's ready to...
It's weird. It feels really weird being up here and speaking in front of everyone, especially with everything that's been going on. Maybe it would have been easier to give a speech over some giant Zoom meeting, but it could have been more awkward, and I can't really say. But, hey, guys, we got one graduation at least. I'm here, you're here, we're all here, and honestly, that's a pretty cool thing with everything that's going on. It'll certainly be memorable, at least. My speech today will be particularly for my class, so bear with me if there are a few points you don't fully understand. To be completely honest with you, I expect that nobody will remember anything about this speech by the time the ceremony is over. I'll probably forget the speech by the time I step off this podium. You see, I love my sister dearly, and she has told me so many memorable things, and I've gotten so many pieces of advice from her over the years. But if you were to ask me what her graduation speech was about in 2017, I couldn't tell you a single thing about it. If you asked what last year's speech or any other graduation speech was about, I'd probably be able to recite the Shakespearean monologue I memorized freshman year before I could tell you a single line from said speech. In order to be remembered, the speaker either has to have an incredibly sad topic or have a particularly unique speech. Whether that's a good or bad thing is up to you. Speaking of memorable events, I'm certain our class holds the record for amount of senior skip days. That'll be one for the books for sure. I also have to brag a bit and say that our class was the only one in Troy High School history to win the homecoming games for 2 years. We hated each other probably 70% of the time. Our several group chats can attest to this. But when we wanted to get stuff done, somehow we all got together and got along. Our class won't necessarily be influential for our sports team wins or class records, but we did make a gnarly new spirit stick for Troy High School. So we're not exactly successful in the most conventional ways, but we have definitely made our mark. And now this very weird graduation will be far more memorable than any other before or after that, and I am certain of that. Despite the ever-changing predictions of the future, we'll all pursue something in one way or another. After this, all we'll have left of this place is our memories. In a sense, all of us only exist in the past. Each moment becomes the last moment, and our thoughts and knowledge all consist of the past. The present is a very small amount of time. People love to say, there's no time like the present, and all this stereotypical motivational stuff you see on football video clips in your life skills class every single day for a whole semester. This statement is mostly true, and everyone absolutely loves to use it for things like getting in shape, or getting a job, or pursuing your dreams and goals. Personally, I like to have a bit of a different take on this quote. It's grouped with the follow your dreams mottos. In all honesty, I hate these type of quotes. They do work for some people, don't get me wrong, but they are so based on the future and not at all on the present. It's work hard now to gain in the future. There is no present gain from the mindset. And too many times I've seen people fall victim to the idea that only the end goal is the important one. Think of how many times you've said or heard these lines. When I have money. Maybe when I get a boyfriend. When I graduate from high school. When I get a job, when I start traveling. But when you're doing hard work to get there, what are you thinking about? Is it only that end goal? That happy marriage? For granted. So many people discredit their daily lives, including myself. I'm not going to say live in the moment because that can take you down many dangerous paths, but I ask you to be conscious of it. Be conscious of your time on earth in whatever way you spend it. Enjoy the things that you do. Enjoy the stupid moment you have with your dog or sibling or parent. Enjoy your annoying 17-year-old roommate of a cat that throws up every other night on your floor and walks all over you while you're trying to sleep. Enjoy the music that you listen to while you drive down the highway or while you write papers and stories. Enjoy the Doritos you're eating at some random party that you go to. Enjoy the bike rides and walks in the sun or rain. Enjoy making your classmate suffer for years by never telling him your middle name. Enjoy the annoying workouts your coaches make you do. If you truly can't find enjoyment in something, you can learn from that and try not to do it again or avoid the situation if you can help it. Sometimes the issue lies somewhere deeper, and realizing this can be a step towards better things. But just be conscious of the things that you do and the things happening around you, because there is a lot to see when you pay attention. As I stated before, even tiny bits of happiness are still real happiness. One day, you will not exist in this place anymore. All the assignments we scoffed at and the teachers we made fun of will simply become an afterthought. All the 360 and repetition jokes, courtesy of Mr. Newton, all the little pumpkin pies we received from Mr. Jones, the walks we took quite literally every day in Mr. Dacios' class, those podcasts we rushed to finish in Miss Moss' class freshman year, or even the extensive rabbit trails we took in Mr. Knapp and Mr. Bear's class. All of these small bits of information will remain packed in your memory. Nothing that you know right now will really remain with you. No feeling, no experience, no object. Your current house will be a faded image, and even the familiar faces you see today will slip through your grasp. Your entire existence will be altered. This is an incredibly daunting thought that can even paralyze people with fear. But time is an unstoppable and unbeatable beast. All we can do is recognize it and slowly figure out how to appreciate even the tiniest things in our lives to hold on to them as memories. Which brings us back to this very year of 2020, the time of World War III, fires, UFOs, politics, armies of locusts, global warming, and even a global pandemic. It sucks. It's awful. School was terrible for the last few months. I never want to take an online class, ever. I had no motivation. I completely lost my sense of days or time. Everything was closed. Montana is basically a safe haven for us. But going outside of the state, whew, that is some dangerous stuff. It's been absolute insanity, but absolutely memorable. This graduation will be one of the most iconic because of its unique, and no matter how much I wanted everyone, I'll remember you all and stumble upon random thoughts of you in my mind from time to time. For example,
Thank you, Ella. I would now like to present to you our salutatorian, Miss Isabel Ramirez. Izzy is graduating Troy High School with a 4.0 grade point average and has completed rigorous classes such as college writing, pre-calculus, anatomy and physiology, and honors EMR class. She was a member of the softball team, volleyball team, basketball team, and was a member of NHS. She also spent her evenings, weekends, and summers working for the school. Izzy plans to study pre-med at the University of California, Santa Cruz next year in hopes of becoming a surgeon. She's a very determined young woman, and I know she's going to work hard to reach all of her goals. Just smile. Congratulations, Ella and Izzy. You've been recognized today with some high honors, and you will continue to receive high honors throughout your lives if you continue working hard and always striving for your best. Next, I have Miss Montana Rice, who will introduce our honorary speaker today, Mr. Caleb Price.
Hello, everyone. I'm Montana. Let's move that. When our class was trying to pick a guest speaker for today, we knew we needed someone that has watched us grow. We knew Mr. Price was right for the job because he was with us while we were young jokesters and watched us grow into more mature jokesters. Throughout his time at Troy High School, we've watched him grow as well, becoming an amazing teacher for us and a great dad, great and proud father to his daughter, Lindley. He's dealt with our many pranks through the years, ending in our senior prank, covering his entire room with wrapping paper and sticky notes. I think it's safe to say that he'll remember us as the class that would go above and beyond for pranks and to make him and others laugh. But for us, we'll remember him as the teacher that can leave a classroom dead silent after what he thinks is a good joke. All joking aside, Mr. Price will be remembered as the compassionate and fun teacher who always made his classes memorable. He teaches with a drive and passion that makes his classes easy to learn from and very entertaining. Lastly, his classes are all about identity, so it is only fitting that while we are going out into the world to learn more about ourselves and start a new journey, he is starting a new journey of his own and leaving with us. Without further ado, please welcome Mr. Caleb Price.
Thank you, Montana. Hello, everyone. There we go. Thank you. It is truly an honor to be asked to speak to you today. One last time before you step towards your next goal. I would have thought that you had grown tired of my lectures by now, or at least grown tired of my literary puns. They are, after all, a rhyme a dozen. Anyway, I congratulate each of you on your achievements today. The journey to this point has seemed long, I'm sure, with twists and turns, trials and triumphs, and successes and stories. I can't tell you how much I have enjoyed teaching you and watching you as you grew and matured through all these things. I think that I have grown quite close to you through this time. I hope the feeling is mutual. But I still don't know half of you half as well as I should like, and I like less than half of you half as well as you deserve. I would be remiss if I didn't teach you one last lesson before you went on your way. Don't worry, there isn't a test on this one, or at least not in the traditional sense. I'll explain that part at the end. This lesson isn't a new one. It is a story. It's actually the first lesson in story that I ever taught you all those many, many years ago. It is a story at its simplest and an allegory at its most complex. I can't take authorship for this story, but I will take responsibility of how I present and analyze it today for you. I'm sure you remember the name by now. This is Plato's allegory of the cave. In this story, this allegory, there is a cave. Plato wasn't really big on his creative titles. Think of this cave as more of akin to a tunnel than an open cavern. This cave/tunnel has an end far from the entrance, so that no sunlight of any kind reaches to the end. The cave ends at a rather smooth, flat wall with a row of chairs in front of it, facing the wall. Behind the chairs is a low wall, about 4 feet high or so. Atop that wall are figures, small figures, that move about. On the other side of the wall from the chairs sits a large fire that continually blazes, which casts a strong light on the figures atop the wall, which in turn creates shadows, rather life-size and lifelike shadows, on the smooth surface of the cave wall. These shadows dance and sway and move about in a way that seems quite realistic, at least to those seated in the chairs. You see, every chair is filled with a person, or rather, a prisoner. They cannot get up. They cannot turn their heads, left nor right, and they cannot turn around. They simply spend their days unnumbered, staring at these shadows in front of them. These prisoners are told that what they see before them is the real world. By some occurrence unknown, one of the prisoners gets free and stands up. He sees his fellow prisoners seated in a line. He sees the short wall with figures on it. He walks past that and sees the fire, the source of light. He passes that and walks into the darkness. It is a difficult trek out of the cave, but eventually sees the light, quite literally the light at the end of the tunnel, and steps out into the sunlight. It is uncomfortable. The light hurts his eyes. His senses are overwhelmed with the vibrance of color in the landscape. The sounds of the birds and the rushing wind, and the cool grass beneath his feet, and the smell of a warm summer day. It is almost unbearable for him. And he turns to go back into the entrance, to go back into the comfort and darkness of the cave. Just then, another man comes around the bend and calls out to the freed prisoner and offers to help him. The prisoner, having lived his whole life in a cave, is quite taken back by this and is wary of the man for quite some time, especially when the man gives him food, real food, and brings him to a clear spring to drink some water, and then walks him along paths lined with flowers and the hum of life. He just doesn't know what to make of all this. This is a dream, the prisoner says. On the contrary, the man replies, this is real. Your reality in the cave was false. Now, this would be a pleasant place to end the story, would it not? A man freed is an inspiring story, but we're not done yet. You see, the man, the former prisoner, is astounded and dismayed that he had lived so long in this cave. He was missing so much. He was missing the real world that seemed to have been just waiting for him to experience it. Wanting to share his newfound world of understanding, he rushes back into the cave to free and lead the other prisoners out. With a heart of joy and a head of confidence, he breaks those chains and stands in front of the prisoners, blocking their view of the shadows on the wall. He told them that they were living a partial life, that the real world awaited them, and that all they had to do was stand up and walk out. All they had to do was stand up and walk out of the cave. No one moved. Instead, they called him crazy, insane, and a liar, and they asked him to leave. They chose to remain in the cave with their shadows because it was comfortable. They chose to remain in their ignorance. The root word of ignorance is ignore, and ignoring something is an act of choice. You see, when the philosopher Plato wrote this at about 300 BCE, for all those math people out there, that's about a long time ago, he saw something glaringly wrong with his society. People chose to ignore the actual reality that they lived in exchange for a false one. one made of shadows and imitations of reality. If you take this story as just a story and ignore the deeper meaning, then you've missed out on the depth that this allegory offers. Because you can apply this concept to almost any novel, any movie, any historical event, any country, and any large issue brought up in our world today. But more importantly, and here's the test part that I told you about earlier, it can be applied to you individually by asking yourself a very simple question. Are you willing to stand up and seek out the truth? Or will you choose to remain in your ignorance? Are you willing to stand up and seek out the truth, walk out of the cave, or will you choose to remain in your ignorance? The answer to that question will shape the rest of your life. I hope and pray that you choose wisely. I wish you the very best on your journey, and I, with everyone else here today, are very glad to have been part of it. Congratulations, class of 2020. May your sufficiencies always be serentified. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Price. Your words have been a true source of inspiration for all of us, and I knew we made a good decision 3 years ago when we hired you. Disappointed to see you move, but we also understand. At this time, I, as superintendent of Troy Public Schools, #1, do certify that the class of 2020 has fulfilled all requirements necessary for graduation from Troy High School. Board members and members of the audience, at this time I present to you the class of 2020 to receive their diplomas. I will read each senior's name, and the diplomas will be presented by Troy High School Principal Christina Schertl and Troy Public Schools Board of Trustees members Mrs. Sylvia Maffitt and Mr. Ben Valentine. I will ask now that the left side of the stage please stand. Yeah, and you can stand up there too. As I read each student's name, you can come up and get your diploma and give an air high five to each one of us up here. Ella Elizabeth Pierce. What is it? Oh. Isabel Sofia Ramirez. Montana Elizabeth Rice. Bruce Richard Bush. Emily Jaden Dupuy. Delaney Sue Duvet. Duncan Josiah Fairbairn. Ricky Charles Fisher. Michaela Rose Brandt Foot. Sabrina Marie Foot. Whoops. Brody Nathaniel Gravier. Laura Gabrielle Guinard. Mazzy Marie Hermes. Harley Savannah Husentruitt. All right, students on my left, you can take a seat. Students on the right side of the stage, please stand up. Maisie Ann Johnson. Haley Marie LaBelle. Colton James Lewis. Braden Sky Lowry. Hey, Chloe's not here, right? Okay. Ronell Maxine Morton. Aiden Douglas Patty. Natasha Ann Richter. Moxley Richard Rossler Bagalki. Ethan Wesley Schrader. Richard William Starks, Jr. Caitlin Marie Talmadge. Sam Henry Walters. Taryn Craig Wapiti Weinbark. All right, thank you, Mrs. Shirtle, Ms. Maffett, Mr. Valentine, and Mr. Price. It's all yours. Mrs. Shirtle? I guess we should tell them to sit down.
Okay, you can be seated. We thank you all for coming again and celebrating this wonderful occasion with us and celebrating all of these hardworking students. 2020 graduates, please rise. We conclude with congratulating the Troy High School class of 2020. No, we're just going to go for it.
Ready?
Test, test. All right, so folks, that's the end of the ceremony. We're going to go ahead and switch over to slideshow and some of the other video that we have. Sorry about all the technical difficulties there early on. I'm going to go and move the camera down in case there's anybody who wants to send any words to the graduates. So we'll see. But either way, there will be.
on. Sorry. Okay, perfect. Hi, Grandpa Lawan. All I needed.
I know that you're curious, I know that you're strong, but life can be furious and things can go wrong. You go, we're better off tomorrow, but who knows if we get joy or sorrow. Stay true to that fire in your heart and your soul. Don't drench your desire in what you can't control. We fly, try so hard to get there, and we might be lost but not forever. There's things in life you simply need to know, but sun and rain and trust in letting go. It takes a bit of suffering, sleepless nights and wandering, before you make it safely to the end, the end, the end. Don't say you're ridiculous, you're not even close. Don't wish for indifference, you're not one of those. We fall, but we always rise up through it all. We get a little wiser. There's things in life you simply need to know, but sun and rain and trust in letting go. It takes a bit of suffering, sleepless nights and wandering, before you make it safely to the end, the end, the end. And if you ever wonder, there is nothing wrong with a little thunder. There's things in life you simply need to know, about sun and rain and trust in letting go. It takes a bit of suffering, sleepless nights and wandering, before you make it safely to the end, the end. There's things in life you simply need to know, about sun and rain and trust in letting go. It takes a bit of suffering, sleepless nights and wandering, before you make it safely to the end. Before you make it safely to the end, the end, the end.
All right, folks. So looks like everybody's pretty much clearing out, and that's basically it. So we're going to go ahead and end the broadcast here. I apologize for some of the hiccups that took place early on. Kind of the enjoyment, I guess, of trying to do something live like this. But definitely had a good time listening